Thank you all for attending our COVID-19 Financial Oversight Committee for November 12th. We appreciate your time and engagement. The first thing we need to do to proceed with our agenda today is to have a motion to proceed electronically.
I move that the proposed agenda constitutes essential business and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and well-being of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. And this is Councilwoman Jennifer Campbell. Let's say that first.
Seconded. This is Courtney Johnston.
Great. We have a motion, a proper second, and I will go ahead then and take a vote via roll to pass that. So Councilmember Gamble?
Aye.
Sean Henry?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnston?
Aye.
Junad Odebeko? Let's see. I didn't hear it. I don't see you on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Spoldova?
Aye.
Great. And let me just take a quick look to see if any other council or committee members joined. Not seeing anyone. We have 5 in favor, 0 against. We shall proceed. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the reports. We have our interim reports from Pathway Lending as well as Second Harvest. So those were sent out. Did anybody have any questions? Want to go through any of those numbers? I think the only thing that I noticed was that on the Pathway report, you didn't see the $1 million transfer between the live music venue to the small business as was approved last week. So it looks like there's more available in the live music venue than there really is. And it looks like there's really not much available. But what you do see in the Pathway Lending is the $500,000 in requests that are under review. So there was, I actually printed it. In review or waitlisted was 569,000. So those are the ones they are working through now that they have the approval to go ahead with the transfer of the $1 million. So I'll get with Pathway just to make sure their next report shows that. But that was confirmed at last council's meeting on the 5th. So those funds are available once they finish their review and approval of those additional small businesses. Any other questions or anything on Pathway or Second Harvest? I'm looking. Okay, so probably our biggest task for today has to do with a recommendation on some additional spending. I just wanted to mention the other items that I sent to you because of how those may become incorporated or relevant after because of what we'll go through today. And I'm gonna, let me pause for 1 second. I think I've got one of our committee members that's having a problem getting in. Okay, sorry about that. So included in what I sent you today are a couple of the other items that have come in. You've already seen and heard from the health department on vehicles, but I did get a update from them recently. So I wanted to make sure that I pass that along to the committee. I did just yesterday get a little bit of an update. This was not their biweekly reporting period, but United Way sent me an email because they've seen such an uptick in the need So I shared Tracy's email with y'all for their kind of update / potential request. And the one that's going to be kind of the toughest to walk through, understand, is we had a council member, Jonathan Hall, who had proposed a resolution a while back, and it was submitted. One of the processes that goes through is it was submitted to our Director of Finance for approval of funding. The request from Councilmember Hall was $5 million from the CRF to be used after the year end. And the original response, because this dated back several weeks, was the funding is not available. The CRF funding is not available after December 30th. You all know that very well. So it wasn't just a matter of allocating funds by December 30th, but actually expending the funds by December 30th. So the initial response to Councilmember Hall was that you could not approve the funding. And so therefore this resolution never came to the committee because it couldn't be considered. Now, as part of what we're going to be considering today, we will be looking at uses of the funds post 12/30, and they won't have the same restrictions. So I felt it was, important for our non-council members of this committee to be aware of that. And I would probably, I will ask if there's any additional conversation that we want to have, that we have our 3 council members who have seen the resolution, they've heard some of the preliminary discussions on the floor or in committee. If there's anything that we want to continue to discuss on that resolution, I open that up for you all for discussion, but making the committee aware that there is a request that's been put into a resolution with our with our council members for funding for a long-term care facility that is in the process of transferring all of its patients to other facilities.
Mary Jo, this is Courtney Johnston. When is the date that the patients will all have their transfers have been complete? When is that building set to be empty?
I believe the wind down is by calendar year end, so by December 30th, all of the patients will have been transferred to new facilities. We certainly aren't going to close the facility if somebody hasn't found another location. I think, the current provider has agreed to participate in a full transition and wind down. And I think as far as, again, I'm not really directly involved in a lot of those conversations, but have heard that they've been very helpful, that it's going well, and that patients are, being moved out.
Okay. I personally, I've dealt with my fair share more than I care to admit in the past couple of years with my family members with long-term care facilities, and I certainly have a heart for people that are in that situation. But by the same token, I think that $5 million, while I just don't know that that's the best use of these funds. I think that facility's been stressed for many, many years. I just don't, our responsibility is a fiduciary responsibility for these dollars to be spent in the most beneficial way for our community as a whole. And I think that the current plan for wind down, it's a tough time to be doing that, but I appreciate that it's going well and that everyone is working well together to get that done and take care of the patients in the best way that we can. I just don't think that that $5 million of CARES Act funding is the best use of those funds.
Thank you. And Councilmember Gamble, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to note that from the discussions that I've had and what I've learned or heard in regards to the Bordeaux Hospital slow down or wind down, is that out of 200 patients, about 3/4 of them have been moved. There's still about 50 patients that are still at the facility. I'm not sure of the status of if they can be moved. Of course, we're talking about elderly patients in a long-term care facility. Of course, just moving them during a regular time would be extremely dangerous, not to mention during the pandemic. So there have been a lot of challenges with that. There are some efforts to try to slow down at this point with these remaining patients, and to look at alternative solutions. There is some discussion about possibly Nashville General Hospital managing the care facility for a temporary period while we look at another long-term solution. And then there's some other, I guess, facilities that may be, or other healthcare organizations that are looking at that as well. But they're currently doing an assessment to find out how much it would cost. So I agree that I'm not sure that $5 million, I would like to have someone come in that is going to manage the facility and let us know exactly how much funds are needed, what it would cover. There are a lot of needs at that facility. So I don't know where the $5 million amount came from, because from what I'm understanding, there's still assessments being done. So I wouldn't be prepared to make any supports or motions today in regards to this resolution. And but I do have a question as far as the December 30 deadline for allocating funds or spending funds. Is there a way that these funds, just like what we're doing with the remaining funds to cover COVID expenses through June 30th, that we can then subtract from other budgetary items if there was a plan that got into place within the next week, because of course this would have to be done immediately, where we could stop the slowdown and look at how maybe some CARES dollars would help during the transition. Would there be a way that we could, because the facility is open through December 30, would there be a way where we could allocate funds to maintain the facility through December 30, and then those remaining funds that would be in the budget through December 30 could operate after December 30, similarly to what we're doing with COVID-19 relief?
Yeah, that's a great question, and maybe a great launching point into the bigger discussion. One of the things that I could check, I don't know off the top of my head, but remember that the facility was but in our full year budget. So there may still be regular operating funds that were in budget that, should it require an extra 30, I think this is what you're asking, that at December 30th, if we still have a handful of patients that we're helping transition to a new location, there may still be operating budget, and these COVID-related funds may not be necessary. So I think that's maybe the first question I could find an answer for you, is that what is the projected remaining budget from the subsidy that would be in existence after. The bigger question is, we haven't had anybody step up to agree to actually operate the facility after December 30th, which is probably another reason that we don't know that allocating funds to it actually provides the solution. The other piece of your question, Councilmember Gamble, was could we use these funds for that after the 30th? And so let's walk through the whole, I guess, kind of strategy and concept, because I think it will answer your question, which is ultimately that's what we're going to try to put in place, is what do we want these like new reserve funds to then be used for. So probably the best place to start. If there, I don't want to cut anybody, I don't see any hands. Okay, best place to start might be on that PDF that I sent with a resolution recommending, the spending and the reserve. And we'll walk through it. I know you guys have heard it before. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page as we start. There are $24.8 million that we haven't yet recommended for spending, that we haven't recommended for allocation. If, as a committee, you all decide to recommend that $24.8 million be spent on public safety salaries, you can say public health or safety, but essentially it is giving Metro the approval to spend the remaining funds in public health and safety salaries. We'll decide exactly which buckets, because what we're going to do then is turn around and with those now saved funds, essentially the cash that we don't spend out of our regular general fund for those salaries that were budgeted, we will take those funds and create a new special reserve fund. Then what we would ask this committee to do is provide the framework for how those newly reserved funds should be spent. Our priority that we would ask is that Metro continue to use those funds for its emergency response. And that 2-page PDF that I sent to you lists, these are the same expenditures we've actually already been incurring, as you all have recommended and provided for that $48.8 million. This would be the additional amount. It's the continuation of the temporary labor that our health department is incurring for contact tracing. I think I heard on the press conference this morning, we have, I think it was 150 or 152 folks doing contact tracing, call line, answering, reaching out. It's really, as you all have watched the cases spike, become one of our most critical responsibilities. The lab costs and then the other expenses include things like porta potties, hand washing stations, other things that are keeping the general public safe, and some other of our, like the actually the fee for the call line and some of the tech services. At our Office of Emergency Management, they are responsible for running the homeless shelters and the testing sites. So, again, within those $2 amounts, you've got the temporary labor, things like the fencing, the meals for, the folks that are at the homeless shelter. And of course, we have the fairgrounds and municipal auditorium, and we expect those to be open until the end of March. So the estimates included here are for those facilities to be open until the end of March. And then the last 4 items in those estimates are for police, fire, general services, and then all other Metro combined. Police, fire is mostly still overtime and PPE. Those are the main items that you're seeing there. In general services, I've talked to them. They are, with the increase in cases, and actually some of the cases being in Metro facilities, they've seen an uptick in the cleaning and sanitization. Not as much plexiglass. Most of that has all been installed at this point. Most of the public building, improvements to safety, if it's folks coming back to work or some of the Metro offices opening and expanding services again for in-person. So most of that work has taken place, but that does still tend to trickle in. A lot of it is cleaning now. And same for the other departments. That includes things like IT and public works and, in our court systems and all the other departments that continue to incur either overtime. They're also incurring, sick time as the cases for individuals have had an uptick, as well as anything related to quarantining, working from home. So that estimate, at $23.2 million is what we think Metro could incur without any other additional funding after December 30th. So flipping back to the cover sheet of that, which was our priority is to make sure that we don't have to spend the expenses out of our general fund. They weren't in our budget for FY21, and incurring them in our general fund budget would really create an imbalance. So that's our highest priority. But as this committee is so familiar with, you all have heard from the community, and you know there are continued needs in the community that will happen after December 30th. You know, it's just simply not going to go away. And so how can we continue to help residents and small businesses? So if we agree to spend the $24.8 million in public safety salaries, that would free up those funds to then create a new framework. So what you'll see, it's 4 bullet points, but it's kind of really the first 3 are the spending. The 4th one is the reporting. And this is where I just wanted us to have a starting point. You all, I want to chime in and really talk about what are the needs. But what we also want to do is put enough framework around this that we don't have to keep going back and forth with resolutions. Again, I think our council members of this committee can maybe share a little bit of the experience that, with the constant resolutions coming to the council, it may slow it down. It may make it so that we're coming back and forth with this committee. And I know this committee has worked hard. We've extended your tenure until December 15th. And the idea is that if we create this framework that you all are comfortable with now, then Metro spends within this framework and reports back to you. So I can go through this more, but I'm going to stop because I do see a hand from Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at, and I know that this was just your starting point suggestion as far as the emergency response fund at 20 million. And then obviously the 4.8 would be however but when I'm also looking at the second page where your estimated expenses for Metro through the end of FY21 is actually over $23 million. And so if we only allocate 20 million to Metro's emergency response, we're somehow going to have to come up with an extra $3 million to handle, our response to this. That makes me nervous because we don't have room in this budget. $3 million in a $2.2 billion budget doesn't seem like a lot, but $3 million when you're trying to come up with cuts to figure out where you're going to come up with this money is a lot. So that gives me pause. It also makes me nervous that we've got people looking at evictions, and that money, according to the United Way, has been expended or will be expended by December the 11th if it remains on pace. And so theoretically, if they're spending them, if they're granting out $1 million per week and they're going to run out on December 11th, there's still several weeks. I mean, they could use another $2 to $2.5 million just to get through the end of the year. We don't have enough money to take care of very, very serious needs. I don't want people on the street. I don't want people evicted. I don't want for Metro to have such strain on our operating budget that is obviously already incredibly tight. This makes me very, very nervous. So I really, we deferred 2 items because there were several council members that were very concerned about those 2 particular items, one more than the other. And I think that we should probably take that up now, just because, in my opinion, we don't have $24.8 million left. We have $34.8 million left. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that, but at this point, we need that $10 million that was plugged in by the state. It's evident when we're looking at what's going on now with our first initial thing was we've got to keep roofs over people's heads. And if we're going to be running out of money at December 11th, as we're going into winter, hard winter, I don't know. I guess somebody else can jump in, but I feel like, we have so much need, so few dollars left. I think it's our responsibility to really look at that $10 million that came from the state that satisfied the need that was requested by MNPS when we got credible and very, very important that come in handy with.
Thing. And Councilmember Johnson or Gamble, I see your hand. Just for the sake of the rest of the committee, let me give a little bit of overview on the November 5th council meeting. As Council Lady Johnston mentioned, there were two of the recommendations from this committee that were actually deferred. And when they're deferred, they don't technically have to come back to this committee. They actually stay within the committees of the Metro Council. And would be back open for discussion at those individual committee meetings. But the conversation that happened with let me do farmers market first, because I believe that one was a little bit more of a mechanical question. And that was the $500,000 that was recommended for rent relief for the farmers market vendors. And there was a question as to why we were engaging Pathway to assist with those payments. And that was really for eligibility reasons. There was, I had reached out to even external legal counsel to make sure that what we didn't want those rent relief payments to be considered revenue relief for Metro, because those vendors owe the money to the farmers market and they will struggle to make those payments. And we want to help those vendors. But then because they're making those payments to a special revenue fund of Metro, if we were to just cut a check to the farmers market and ask them to go ahead and make the rent credits, it could be, we didn't want it to be, seen as a revenue replacement. So by engaging a third party and the vendors will actually apply for those funds, that was mechanically why it made the most sense for farmers market. A lot of that conversation was happening a little bit at the 11th and a half hour, a little bit after the council meeting. It just felt that there wasn't a complete understanding, so the council agreed to defer. I think that's been cleared, and when it comes back to the council on November 17th, while I won't make any predictions, I think that was the issue. So, if anybody wants to add to that, we can, but let me go back to the MNPS one. So, a reminder that as a committee, well, let me back up. Before you were all engaged as a committee, a recommendation for laptops and hotspots was brought before the Metro Council, and they approved the $24 million for laptops and hotspots. And as time passed on, and there was a technology grant for laptops, and there was a connectivity grant provided for hotspots, then and we've got folks from MNPS. I believe the total is close to $11 million of that 24 was then provided at the state by the state level, thereby freeing up some of the $24 million that had originally been allocated. And the way it works with Metro is that the resolution authorized spending for laptops and hotspots. So for the funds to be spent on other items, we needed to bring it back to the committee. And that was, again, at the request of the mayor to say, bring this back to the committee and have that approved. And so when MNPS joined us, they presented the additional expanded use of funds, which was the laptops also for teachers, and then also for the digital curriculum and some additional supplies, like essentially school supplies that are needed for the students at home since they're not on site. So that was the 24 million that went back to the, so it was the expansion of the use of funds, and that went back to the council. And there was just there was a lot of discussion on the purchases of the laptops, when they were needed, when they were delivered, when it was known. And I feel like at that point, then they felt it was better to defer that resolution so that there could be more information shared at the committee levels. And that's where we're at. Although I then did hear from a few folks that wanted to discuss it back here at the committee level. Is that a pretty good overview? Anyone want to add?
Yeah. This is Councilwoman Sepulveda. Regarding the farmers market, I think another point that was brought up was, what if some of the vendors had applied through Pathway already, and they wouldn't be eligible to reapply?
Yes, and that was true. It's in the resolution that if the farmers market vendors had applied to Pathway for the small business grants, that if they had already received that, we didn't want to duplicate that funding. Again, I think this committee has done a really recommendable job of trying to make sure that everybody gets something. And so because those small business dollars have been so needed and applied for, that we didn't want to give some of the vendors both sources of funding.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, the farmers market resolution, since we never got committee reports on it, it would have to be refiled. So it wasn't necessarily deferred.
You are right. And I remembered that at one point, that it was actually not officially deferred because it wasn't brought before. We didn't ask for a suspension of the rules because it was a late file.
Yeah.
So it will just automatically come up. I might ask Alex to confirm that, but I don't think we have to refile it. If we do, Alex, you'll have to let me know. But I think it's just that it couldn't be heard on the November 5th agenda because it was late filed and we didn't ask for a suspension. It will automatically be on the agenda for the 17th.
This is Alex Dickerson, Metro Legal. I'll confirm that with John Cooper.
I did want to, so the farmers market resolution came to a committee that I sit on, which I think was codes when we were talking about it. And so to Councilor Sepulveda's point, we asked about that duplication, like, well, does it leave anyone out? Does it prohibit this, that, and the other? And I cannot remember her name, but the lady from the farmers market said that was not a concern because really the people that were going to be applying at this point were over that $1 million per year revenue. So it was people that the people that would be applying for this money were not eligible for the small business relief because their revenue was more than $1 million. So there would not be any duplication, and it just was an expansion of support for those farmers market vendors.
Mary Jo, if this does come back, if the committee decides to go forward with these resolutions, I think it would be beneficial to send an email to the council members with all of this information so they have it.
Okay. For that we've discussed it again at the committee? Okay.
Yes, and with an explanation of why we're doing it the way that we're doing it, because I think that was Councilman Sledge's first concern was like, why don't you just, if the money's going to the farmer's market at the end of the day, why aren't we just going directly to the farmer's market? There were multiple reasons why, and so we did an analysis showing why we made the decision to do it the way that we did it was based off of the federal government requirements for how this money can be spent. And that really appeased him.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Councilmember Gamble, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate that recap of what happened at the council members for the committee and our viewing audience. My question related to the Metro Schools resolution, going back to that, and what exactly, because I'm looking at the resolution again, and it just really refers to the $24 million designation. So what exactly, and maybe I'm looking at an older version, I'm not sure, but what exactly was the amount? So if 11 million was received through the state grants, were we saying we were going to use the remaining 13 million for the hotspots and the curriculum?
Yes. So the original 24 million was 21 million in laptops and 3 million in hotspots. That was the rough math. With the funding that came from the state for laptops and hotspots, MNPS presented to you all revised numbers. Hank, you might have them real handy, so maybe I can just pass this over to you. But at our, I believe it was, anyway, in October, we had a PowerPoint presentation that there were new numbers for the new items. Hank, I'll pass that off to you at this point.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Wiggins. Hank Clay from Metro Nashville Public Schools. Thank you, committee. And first, let me just acknowledge what a wonderful job you all have done on leading the city and allocating what are seems like a big number to a layperson, but as you all know acutely, it's very it's hard to allocate all these resources. So thank you for your leadership. To answer Mary Jo's question, we would reshuffle the 24 million to cover $15 million for student devices, laptops, only 100,000 for student hotspots, teacher devices, 4.4 million, and student curriculum and supplies, 4.5 million. So student devices were a little bit higher because we, after the original amount, we realized we needed to include, we want to make sure to include charter schools and they would be funded. So that's at the 15 million. Thank you.
Thank you. So a follow up to that question. So how did the 11 million that you received from the state, how did that supplemented your laptops? Was it just for laptops?
It was for both laptops and hotspots.
And hotspots. Okay. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if we are not able to allocate the entire 24 million and in consideration of the state grant that you received, what would be the most, I guess, where were the gaps? Where didn't you have funding for? And that would be for curriculum, mainly for the curriculum, pretty much. But you did receive laptops and hotspots from the state grant.
Yes, ma'am. So that helped to offset, will help to offset when they finally send the money. That is anticipated to help offset those expenses. At back the envelope, basically a third match for those funds. Not exactly because the state is the way that it is, but about a third match.
Right.
And then what we're wanting to work with you all is helping to work down the additional priority list for what we need to be able to do to continue education in both the virtual and in-person environments in a COVID era.
Right, and I appreciate that because there will be that same need after December 30. So while we're looking at the reserve for our emergency response, that is another consideration that with schools, we don't even have all of our students back in the classroom yet. And so there will be potential ongoing support needed as we continue to transition from home and going back to school after December 30th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnston, you still have a hand up. Is that from before, new?
No, I have another question.
Okay.
So the additional need that has been plugged into this extra money that was received by the state, the curriculum has already been paid for, correct?
Yes, ma'am. What we originally, again, we're working through a whole long list of priorities, many of which we'll never be able to get to because all the funding is not there. But we originally had this on the mnps side of the CARES Act. And since it's more flexible, we were working with you all on moving it over to this side. And then that way we can hit some other important priorities. Like, for example, we've said as a city, we really need nurses in each of our school buildings during this time. They're the ones doing the contact tracing. They're the ones that are helping to educate about the public health issues around COVID. Then that allowed us to be able to get to nurses on the mnps side of the issue. So
I get that there's additional need, but my point is that these funds are basically replacing what's already been paid for out of your operating budget, correct?
Yes, ma'am. In most cases, I would have to verify every single case, but yes.
So it's alleviating some tension on your operating budget, because I understand that you have more need than the $24 million that you originally applied for. My point is that every other department has way more need than what they've applied for. And for example, the farmers market had applied for X number of dollars. What was it? $300,000 for automation of doors and restrooms. Well, if we had allocated that $300,000 to the farmers market for that purpose, and then the state subsequently came in and allocated dollars for that purpose, that $300,000 would come back to this committee to allocate for other need. So if you needed $34 million, which is basically what you've received, that's what should have been applied for. In my opinion, if the $24 million for student laptops and hotspots has been met, and you got an extra amount of money, coming back to apply for that certain need is fine, and because we've got a whole list of need. But just to say, well, hey, here's how we can use this extra money now, for these other needs that we have. There's way more need everywhere else with other departments. The fair thing to do is to say, okay, we applied for this need. This need was taken care of. We have these extra funds. The extra funds go back, and we can prioritize where that money needs to go. But for MNPS to say, well, but we need this too, I don't think that that's the way that this should work. I mean, we've got to be fair to every department, every need that the county has, which is vast, with very little funds left. And so if my responsibility is a fiduciary responsibility for the $121.1 million to be used in the best way to make those decisions, then that's my responsibility. And that's this committee's responsibility. Again, I understand that there's need, but there's a lot of need, is my point. And so I just think, again, I will say it, I think that 10 or 11 minute, whatever it is, what you've said is 4.4 and 4.5. So 8.9, what's the difference between 8.9 and the 11, whatever that was the grant?
Covering the original laptops that MNPS was going to pick up on our own for the charter schools that now can be incorporated into this funding.
And I'll ask this again. I asked for, so I appreciate that. So originally it was 80,000 computers for 80,000 students. We don't have 80,000 students any longer. I don't believe we've had some students leave the district, but also there's a lot of students that already had computers. So has that been taken into account to make sure that those dollars, are actually, that we're buying computers that students are actually going to use and that need? Am I communicating that properly? Like maybe our need was only 60,000 because we've lost some students, and then however many thousands of students already had their own laptops, so they didn't need a Metro laptop. Have we made sure that we're really, really utilizing these dollars for the actual need?
We wanted to create, so yes, is the very direct answer to your question. We took the philosophy of we wanted to make sure that students had exactly what they needed in this new, entirely different environment. I mean, us using this video conferencing, we had never done that with our students prior to the current situation. It takes up a lot of room on the computer. We also wanted to make sure that our students who were on the margin, everybody had what they needed. And so we didn't want to create a have and a have-not situation where there's some students going around with, let's pretend these are red laptops that show, hey, I'm a student living in poverty, and other kids are.
Uh-oh.
And so that allowed us to provide what they need. We're charged with providing a great education to all of our students. And so we have to make sure that we're able, just like a textbook, are able to provide that textbook to a student to be able to learn. And so that's what we took into account there. The difference, one of your questions was the difference between that original amount. Some of that is based on the actual cost that we were able to get the machines for. Remember, we did not go forward without going before council for that original 24 million. And it's been discussed a lot about the supply chain issues. So some of that came down, and a few of the machines were a little bit more expensive than were originally projected. And at the scale that we're talking, that's what accounts for the difference and in those funds. So great questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Sepulveda, did you want to jump in? Did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And thanks, Hank, for coming before us again. Just a couple of questions. So the laptops that were purchased, right? They've already been purchased. This is pretty much.
Don't you think Sarah Gordon might be a bit much for a 4-year-old just learning how to write? I'll just have to get her brother Jake one.
So I think I remember y'all saying that some of the laptops needed to be replaced, correct?
Some of the, clarified, you mean some of the old computers that we already had as a school district?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you're correct. So I said this before the council committee, I really do mean it. Like, y'all should come and volunteer at one of our in-person virtual help centers to see some of the devices coming back. They are not able to handle the loads that students need to put on them at this point. So.
Got it. And so the laptops that need to be replaced, are they the student laptops or the laptops the teachers are using, or the laptops that the administration is using to help the children?
And not administration, it's for the teachers and the students. So originally we knew the need because we didn't have a laptop for every single student. In addition to what you're just describing, teachers did have laptops, but and we anticipated that they were adequate. We tried very hard to listen to our teachers on the ground and what they're experiencing. What they came back to us in August and started to convey is that they were not able to run their class program, a Word document, and do this this video conferencing because of the pressure that took on the machine. So great.
Got it. Okay. So I think for many years we have already underfunded our metro schools, and they're already working with a pretty tight operating budget. And I want to be cautious because if if we decide not to award the entirety of these funds back to mnps, what would that mean for your operating budget?
Thank you for that question. Again, this is Hank Clay with Metro Nashville Public Schools. So what it would mean is that we're not able to get to the extremely vital priorities we have to be able to educate students. So one of the things that I'm very nervous about is the PPE requirements that we need to go into our schools. You know, as this coronavirus extends from month to month and, you know, on into the spring, that's just going to be very high. And so we need our operating and any other source of federal funding that we can have to be able to cover those issues, nutrition issues, being able to, we haven't even been able to get to GEO's interventions for our students, for example, other intervention programs that when constituents are calling you talking about virtual education, these are the tools that we need to be able to serve the students effectively.
So in your operating budget does not include, you know, these meals that you all are having to deliver, correct? The PPE, any of that?
Our nutrition budget is different than our operating budget.
Okay.
And the nutrition budget is a self-supporting fund that obviously its revenue has dramatically changed in this new environment that we're in. And so that's separate from our operating, so you're correct. And then, yes, we did not have a budget built in with a year and a half worth of PPE for our employees. So we have been trying to first take advantage of every federal fund that flows through the state and apply through those to make sure we're taking advantage of those. And then anything that we can cover through any of our CARES Act, we're covering those as well. Yes, ma'am.
Great.
But the need is great.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. I don't know if there's any other questions. Essentially where we're at, and maybe I'll just go back to one question that you had, Councilmember Johnston. So this committee is not required to make any changes. I just wanted this committee to be able to have the full conversation on the resolution, the recommendation that has been made to the to the Metro Council. So that is in place. Nothing needs to be done unless this committee wants to make a change. So maybe I could help with one question for you, Councilmember Johnston. On the estimate, you are right. Our estimate is 23.2. And you're also correct. The framework put in place is really just a starting point. One of the things that we are really, anticipating or hoping, but has become such a very narrow window is FEMA. So in that estimate for the expenditures of 23.2, I did not provide an estimate for any of those expenditures to be reimbursed by FEMA. And we still, the constant phrase I've used is we will apply aggressively, but estimate conservatively. And we do know things like the labs. FEMA's current viewpoint is that if you are testing everyone, it's not eligible. If somebody came in and had all of the symptoms and you tested them, that test would be covered. So it's really gotten pretty dicey and pretty restrictive. We do believe that the homeless shelters continue to be sheltering is one of, if you think about a more typical disaster, sheltering is one of those needs that FEMA recognizes as an eligible expense. So we do still think that we could receive some funding back from FEMA as it relates to the shelters. And so if we received those funds from FEMA, we wouldn't exceed our 23.2. So just to give you a little bit of comfort again, that the attempt is, we will still seek as much FEMA reimbursement as we can. We're very fortunate to have some great guidance in that arena, but we haven't been left with a whole lot of hope that there'll be a lot. But we think there will be, maybe some of this that leads us to be comfortable that if the committee wants to only do the 20 million, we think we can find a path to that.
You're muted.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I've got hands for Councilmember Johnston and Sepulveda. I didn't see any others. Councilmember Johnston?
So to your point that the resolution does not need to be changed, it does still have to go back in front of the council. The council is ultimately who passes or doesn't pass this resolution. I don't see a problem with the farmers market one, but the school one, I do. I've heard from many council members that have a lot of reservations about just, it's an extra 10 million or 11 million or 8.9, whatever it is. I think that a fair way to proceed with this, and I think that council would be on board, and it would be very, fair and transparent, is to split the difference. If they received X amount of dollars from the state for the original need, leaving extra dollars, splitting the difference and allowing them to, meet their additional need, knowing that there's additional need all over the place. And having the other half come back to the committee to be able to have flexibility to allocate for more rent, mortgage, utility relief, other departments that we have not even addressed yet. Having some flexibility with Metro's response, who knows what that is. I mean, we got a pretty good estimate, and then all that. So I would make a motion that we split that, whatever the dollar amount is, that we split the difference between allowing Metro schools to keep half and the other half come back to the committee for allocation.
Okay, I think that half was roughly, I guess we'll just use 5 million as a round figure. So I hear a motion to reduce the MNPS allocation to 19 million, which is essentially, I think, Alex, track me if I'm doing this right. That's really the proposal. The motion made is to reduce MNPS funding to 19 million from 24 million. Is there a second?
Ed Henley, I second the motion.
Great. So conversation. Any other questions? Let's see, Councilmember Sepulveda, and I also see Gamble.
Thank you. I mean, I just want to be a little bit cautious. I think what I got out of the council meeting was that we were worried that not enough teachers were going to have enough supplies and laptops. So I don't know if Hank could speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember. This is Hank Clay, Metro Nashville Public Schools, and there will be enough laptops for teachers to adequately answer that question. Yes, that is correct.
With it being cut in half, you guys will have enough?
Well, we'd have to fund it from another source, so it would come out of some other source if you all are not if this council chooses to prioritize that money. I mean, this committee it would just have to come from somewhere else.
Okay.
And this is the number we, as I've mentioned a few times, we prioritize everything because we'll get to everything. And this is a number one priority. We'll go to talk about that. I'm not sure.
I think you went out for that last piece. You were saying priority, and then it went away.
Yes, I'm sorry, my not trying to make our point over here, but I guess my internet is a little slow at MNPS. So we have a lot of needs at Metro schools. We prioritize those because all of them are important, but teachers being able to teach their student is number one important. So we brought that to you all because I know you all care about teachers as well, and wanting to be able to take advantage of the state funds. I mean, we brought this to y'all quickly and transparently in the case that we receive all of the state funding. I just will make the point that those dollars have not come into our bank account yet. And so as the committee considers that, the state could always change its mind and choose to do something else with it. And then even the original intent of what the council approved would be an issue if they didn't fund it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Campbell.
Yes, thank you. I guess it'll be nice. I don't know, Mary Jo, if you have an update about the state funding. I don't see Representative Love on the call, but it would be good to, if there is an update on the state. And then also for Mr. Clay, with the potential reduction of the $24 million, what then, and if you have the laptops, what then would be your most priority or your highest priority need? And also the curriculum, the 4.5 for curriculum, that's not your regular operating curriculum budget. This is for virtual learning curriculum. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilmember, that's correct for Metro Nashville Public Schools, and you're correct. This is virtual curriculum and supplies and for the virtual environment. And your first question, would you clarify? Would you restate it? I'm not sure.
Yes, as the motion has been to reduce the amount of funding that you will receive because of the funding that you receive from the state, how would you prioritize? How would you spend that money? Because initially you asked for the $24 million for the laptops, the hotspots, the teacher laptops, and the curriculum. Barring that you would get less than that, how would you prioritize that? You said that you have enough laptops, so I'm just wondering how. I think Mary Jo, what was that amount? You said 19 that would actually be approved.
Yeah, if the roughly 10 million that was received in connectivity and laptop grants from the state, what I heard was kind of split the difference. So if we said, okay, well, then 5 of that we would like to come back to the committee, essentially what that's doing is I'm trying to make sure I say it in the right order, but that's changing the recommendation of the $24 million resolution down to 19. I think then what you're asking MNPS is, you're going to have to take something out of the $24 million resolution and find a different funding source for it.
Right, and do you have an idea of what that might be?
Councilmember, I'm not sure. Both are topmost priorities, curriculum and supplies for our students and teachers to be able to teach that material. I would have to go back and look at, we also have been we've tried to be with y'all very strategic in which dollar comes from which pot to be able to make sure we're maximize every penny. We also of course, we have to make sure that money originally comes in from the state, but also the state, like the feds, only want to supplement. They do not want to supplant. And so I'm a little nervous that I want to make sure that they don't interpret this as us redirecting funds away from education, since they were willing to fund education. They try to add to education, not make it so that funds can be spent on other items. And so that just makes me a little bit nervous. And I'll have to work through that. So I'm sorry, I can't give you an adequate answer to that. I think, if I may, another question that goes along with what you're asking is, well, what does that bump off down the list? What's the priority, maybe number 7, that we could get to now that we can't now? I mean, you know, I'm not sure because they're all so high, but I mean, school nurses comes in at $2 million. That we're able to cover that because that's more long-term from the other mnps CARES Act, because y'all were going to be able to pick this up. And so, you know, school nurses, we may have to try to figure out that, additional, PPE. We're trying to make it all work from every penny that's available.
And that's my concern. That's my concern in reducing the amount, because it could offset some other things. And it sounds like that in your initial application to the state, did you have to list the $24 million that you received from Metro as leverage, as a kind of I say leverage, but as a point that would help them score your application greater in order to get that state money?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't, Councilmember Johnson, do you have a question? I was going to just make a comment. Just to clarify, Hank, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What I think Member Gamble was asking and you answered is that the things that are in this request that was, that went to council, those expenditures would still be made because they've been made. The teachers have the laptops, the students have the laptops, the curriculum has been purchased. So it would be a reimbursement, but there are other things that haven't been paid for that would have to come off the table. You mentioned the nurses. So this would be the $24 million at this point in time is a reimbursement of what's been spent. If you don't have it reimbursed, then you'll have to use funds that you might have used for something else.
That's accurate. Thank you. That's what I could say.
Okay. Ed Henley, I see your hand.
Yeah, I heard Councilmember Gamble's question and understanding that it was the entire amount that was the entire $24 million amount was what was shared with the state. Is there a belief that there will be some potential recourse if the amount is reduced by action of this committee? Or I just want to understand that clearly, because it sounded like it was a factor in ranking, scoring, or in some form or fashion judgment from the state to allocate the funds they did. So I maybe that understanding isn't known, but I must ask, is that a potential impact?
Thank you for that question. I want to be careful about make sure I'm answering it perfectly accurately. They have, and Ms. Wiggins, you may be able to give me assist on this as you have a lot of experience in this. We had a lot of discussion about how to handle this grant from the state. So essentially we told them we are spending $24 million on student laptops and hotspots. And they said, okay, we are going to match that at a third and give you, these all round numbers, about $11 million, since you all as a community are willing to put that up. So then let's use layperson terms. They sent us they're hopefully going to send us a check for about $11 million back, that then we are saying to y'all that gets reimbursed to this fund. And we're saying, okay, this is how we can continue to spend that money on education. I'm trying to think of the direct answer to your question. And if anybody else from the team wants to pop on with any ideas that they may have about answer that, or Joe.
I'm not familiar. I mean, I haven't been in conversations with the state, but I think the point is, at the end of the day, the state didn't. You had to spend the $24 million on laptops and hotspots, regardless of whether it was from, MNPS's Department of Education CARES Act funding, or whether it was Metro's CRF funding. So if you have bought all those laptops, I'm not sure that the state is going to withdraw their funding. It would only be if you don't end up buying the laptops, if you don't spend it, because it's a 1/3. I guess that's all that I can say. That's my limited familiarity, that it's a 1/3. So if the total expenditure goes down, then the 1/3 is going to go down. If the total expenditure is made, then the 1/3 shouldn't be impacted. So I guess the question is back to, will the full expenditure still be made, even if there's a reduction in the total received from Metro?
The full expenditure has been made. That's correct.
Okay, Councilmember Sepulveda?
Thank you. If the committee decides to go with this new, I guess, amendment, it would be an amendment to the resolution that's already been deferred, correct?
I believe that's correct. Alex?
Yeah, this is Alex Dickerson. I think what we would do is would seek to amend the deferred resolution. It'd be the easiest way to do it.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. We have a motion.
Hey, Mary Jo,
I do. Sorry, Sarah. I do see you. I didn't scroll down. I was in the process.
No worries. I'm sort of struggling and trying to straddle sort of a couple things going on here, consistent with the comments of Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Gamble. It's true that it seems like right now the specific amounts needed for the previously established priorities are not fully needed for various reasons, but it doesn't mean there aren't additional needs, as Mr. Clay has made clear. And I do agree with Councilmember Johnston that, there are an awful lot of needs, and our role in this committee is to try to allocate limited resources to fill the needs the best we can for the community. This perception of just amending the resolution to say that education does not need any more because of the things that have happened to date in terms of the various funds available from different sources, that message concerns me, because I can, first of all, not only imagine how many needs there are trying to, on a prolonged basis, teach our children in this environment. And I am concerned about that message, that we're kind of, we don't think that there are additional needs. That said, I know that the information is changing in terms of what might be available from other sources. And I think we need more information on just what the money would be used for, so that we could then assess, how to use it. And so I guess what I'm trying to figure out by saying the word straddle is, I'm not opposed to saying for right now, let's allocate this amount, but I would have a bias toward trying to keep in the back of our mind that, subject to getting some additional detail and possible more understanding of what other sources there might be, that we sort of keep sort of this amount that we're taking out available till we can hear a little bit more of an updated assessment of how it would be used for education. Because I certainly hate to have just developments as of today have us lower education as a priority, given what our public schools are facing in this pandemic.
Thank you. And Councilmember Gamble, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, I just want to follow up to Sarah's comment. I do appreciate your comments, and that just brings it full circle back around to I guess where we started, that there are many needs and education. And educating our children during this pandemic is one of the priorities that we have, like our emergency response, whether it's shelter for the homeless, food and utility relief, et cetera, et cetera. So in my opinion, it's right up there with the rest of them. And I would be more, I guess it would, I don't know what the word I want to say. I'd be a little more agreeable or less worried if we did take away the $5 million, but put it into the reserve budget for education, as in addition to put it towards the 23.2 million reserved for education. That I would feel a little bit better about that, as opposed to just taking it away and not having it available to address needs related to education going forward, just like our other emergency response. In my opinion, the education is in the emergency response category, just like our assessment centers, homeless, utilities, rent, et cetera. So I like that idea, Sarah. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, so I'm going to try to handle this in the right order and one at a time so that we're clear. So the motion on the floor, as seconded, and we've had our conversation, I think we're ready to vote, is to amend the resolution which expanded the use of funds for MNPS, to amend that resolution to include the expansion of funds but reduce the amount to 19 million. That is the motion on the floor. That is what we would be voting on. I think we'll have to address the 5 million in the next conversation. Again, the vote on the floor is a motion to reduce an amendment to the existing resolution to reduce it to 19 million, but still including the same expanded nature of expenditures.
Ms. Wiggins, may I answer a question that was raised earlier? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's allowed. Okay.
Okay, this is Hank Clay from MNPS. Just got a response back. The purpose of the reimbursement was to support the continuous learning plan of the district and one-to-one technology. That was a question for how that reimbursement could be used in city funds. But to clarify what the purpose was, I think that's very apropos to what you all are about to vote on. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go through roll and make sure I think I've got everybody. Sarah?
Mary Jo, just real quick, can I add, assuming that the committee doesn't want to have to see the resolution amended and vote on that again, can we go ahead and have, I can't remember which council member sponsored this one. Do we remember? Who was the lead on the schools one? Okay, let's pull it up.
No, it was Councilwoman Toombs, because it was before the committee, so Councilwoman Toombs was the lead on it. Right.
But I think what you're saying is, Alex, we're going to need somebody from council, from committee, to work with you and me just to review the final wording.
I'll do that. Johnston, sorry.
I was going to actually volunteer to do that as well.
Jennifer, if you want to do it, go for it. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be happy to work with you.
Is that right, Alex? So our vote is going to make the reduction. We're also asking permission for the committee to, we will work on the final wording of that resolution to be submitted to council without any changes from the intent of what we've just discussed, of course.
Can I just ask a question? Because, we're getting ready to sort of take an up or down vote on this resolution, which is basically saying we're taking away $5 million from the amount allocated to education. And, as I mentioned before, the circumstances for that, may make sense today, but I guess, is there any opposition to having something in that resolution that makes it clear that the amount that we've taken away, that we would basically encourage hearing from Metro as to what their needs would be based on their assessment of other sources, resources available to them before we would expend it elsewhere. Because it just seems to me that trying to get a better handle on that, even though I know the calendar is getting short, it seems like we would like another bite. I mean, I certainly would love another bite at the apple to see if what education needs before we kind of start just spending the money on other things.
So what I thought I heard and what we would take up next is then if we still, instead of having 24.8 million that was unallocated, that number would go up by that 5 million for 29.8 million. And we would still spend those funds on public salaries. And as we create a new reserve, a line item in that reserve would be $5 million for education. Now, we need to tackle that separately, but that's where we were headed next. That is what I heard. If I heard wrong, stop me,
This Councilwoman Gamble, that's kind of what I recommended. I do understand the point, though, that's being made, and I don't know if there's if there would be interest in holding off on a vote until a special meeting or something, so that we can get more information from the state and from mnps before we make a vote. But I do. I understand that point, but I would be willing to move forward as well with the vote today, knowing that we were going to put what we take out into the reserve for education.
Mary Jo, I didn't realize that the resolution that was on the table actually included that additional provision, and that's kind of where I was going, is trying to figure out if it was something more than just an up or down on taking away $5 million. Because I think there needs to be some explanation around all of this, and I'm just not sure if we are all in consensus on that. But I would love to make sure we've spelled that out.
Well, and we haven't gotten to that other resolution yet. So again, I'm doing my best, and I'm going to need legal to keep me on track, but we have a motion to reduce the funding. I'm sorry, let me say it this way. We have a motion for an amendment to an existing resolution that would reduce the amount of funding from 24 million to 19 million with the same expenditures eligible. That is the motion on the floor. That's what's been seconded.
But in the wording, I'm sorry, it's Councilwoman Gamble, but in the wording that we work out in the resolution, to Sarah's point, we can say something to the effect that we intend to put the reduction of funds in a reserve for education, in a reserve for education. I mean, we could say something like that. Is that correct, Alex, in the language of the resolution?
I think you could put something in there that would justify. I don't know if it would be. First of all, let me say that we would need whoever made the original motion. I think it's Councilmember Johnson to agree to that amendment. But if so, I think you could put it. We could put there that was stating the intent to put it in the reserve for 2021. I don't know. I'd have to talk with Mary Jo on the finance aspect of it, whether or not the resolution would spend that money, because we haven't spent any money for 2021. I don't know how the mechanics.
So this is Senator Johnson. I don't really know the purpose of saying we're going to reduce the original allocation from 24 to 19 and then move $5 million to a reserve for education. What are we doing? I mean, at that point, just leave it at 24 million. I think the whole point is that we have a reserve. We have unallocated funds right now of 24.8. That would go to 29.8 to go into a reserve. And education can be a line item as an approved use of those of that $9.8 million. But saying that all $5 million of it would be in reserve for education defeats the purpose of the amendment, in my opinion. Right?
This Councilwoman Sepulveda, I'm going to interject. I like the idea that Councilwoman Gamble had of having a special public meeting where committee members and the council could be a part of it, so we could get all of the information and be on the same page. Because as it stands right now, I'll be abstaining on this vote. Because I just simply need more information.
And I would comment on Councilmember Johnson's comments. I agree with her. If it's sort of a swap of the dollars from one place to the other with a commitment that it's going to education, then there's not that much point in the resolution. I guess I was thinking that we would link sort of kind of holding that money back, pending getting some more clarity about what sources of funding education will otherwise be able to receive, and then what the needs are, so that we can then make an informed decision, but not necessarily be obligated to provide it to education. If for some reason we determined that the needs combined with the other sources of money did not justify it. So that's just a nuance that I wanted to mention from kind of how I was viewing it, so that it is something that's meaningful what we would be doing with this resolution, but it would be done in the context that we are still going to wait to get additional information and to make sure that we have gotten the latest information possible, as long as our committee is intact, from education as to what they might need.
This is Alex Dickerson from Legal. I just want to point out that that particular part that Ms. Finley talked about, providing context, that doesn't necessarily have to be in the resolution, but every council meeting, they always ask Mary Jo to provide some context, and she could definitely color that language and describe that part without us having to put it in the for what it's worth.
Otherwise, the public takeaway is just that we, decided that to take away $5 million from public education, and I think the story is a little bit more complicated than that.
Ms. Wiggins, may I help answer some of that question too?
Yeah, let me, Edward Henley's had his hand up quite a bit. Edward, was there something you wanted to share, ask?
Yeah, I just wanted, as a supporter of the motion as it was made, I kind of want to echo some of the sentiments, but it's my understanding that Metro schools, like all other departments and others who have requested really any allocation of funds, they're not precluded from coming and requesting additional funds from this committee. I honestly supported the motion because I believe, and I may or may not be on record with this, but I thought that any savings that came out of the original allocation from schools should come back to this committee. That allocation was made prior to us being here, so I respect that. But I thought what our duty was to evaluate on all funds available. And if the funds were allocated for a particular purpose, that purpose was executed and sufficient. What we've done to others that we've allocated funds to, and we wanted weekly or bi-weekly monitoring, is so that we could recapture funds if they weren't allocated for the need that we approved them for. I just think that in precedent setting, this is exactly the same methodology. If schools has a list of 5, a dozen, or however many different items that they would want to bring back and say, we feel that these are appropriate and high priority, requests, I think this committee should evaluate them with the same level of scrutiny that we've done of other departments as well as other organizations. To me, I just feel that that's fair. But that's my reasoning. I felt like, only requesting $5 million reduction was kind of meeting in the middle, because I do understand the connotation of any form of what can be perceived as taking funds away from education. I don't want that to be what the committee is known for or seen as with this motion. But I do believe that just placing the funds back under our purview would be more in line with what we've been doing the entire time. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Absolutely. And Hank, we'll come back to you. Let me just get Councilmember Gamble. Did you have something you wanted, or just wait?
Well, I just wanted to respond to Alex's comment about your providing the explanations during the council meetings. I think it's more helpful if the resolution speaks exactly to the intent, because that's what happens when we get on the floor. That's why there's so many questions ahead of when we get on the floor, because there's not enough explanation in the resolution to explain the intent. So I would caution that we not leave information out if we can include it, just to make it clear for council members when they are looking at these resolutions during committee and prior to the council meeting, and not leaving it all up to the floor to explain everything. And to my second point, I agree with Edward on his assessment about bringing it back to the community and bringing it back to the committee and considering other things. But the problem is we're running out of time. We don't have a lot of time to take money away and then have groups come back and make more presentations for funding that has to be spent by December 30th. So if there was a way to redirect funding within the current resolution that has already been, I guess that the initial resolution that has already been passed, and now this amendment, that would be prudent use of the time that we have available and the funding that we have available. But I understand your argument that initially that is the process or the methodology that we established. Is the money wasn't going to be used, it would come back, or if you had additional funding to offset money that would be used, it would come back. But since education has so many needs, priorities, and they would be submitting another resolution or another proposal, I guess, for funds, as opposed to just redirecting funds in the current resolution, I think would be the most streamlined thing to do. But I do understand your points. I just wanted to make that point as well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go in order of the hands. Sarah Finley.
Spoken. I think that's an old hand.
Okay, no problem. And Councilmember Johnston.
So to Council Lady Gamble's point that we're running out of time, actually, if that $5 million goes into our reserve of what would be at that point $29.8 million, we would have plenty of time to make those decisions, because it goes into the unrestricted funds fund at that point. So we do have plenty of time. One question for Metro Legal is, for transparency purposes and to sort of temper the idea that, we're just taking money away from Metro schools, which is actually not the case. Is it possible in the language of this amendment to say, like, in light of state funding that has come through for the initial purpose, of the allocation, I know splitting the difference isn't necessarily good legal jargon, but something to that nature of that this is in response to funding that came from the state for the initial request, and that it is basically an overage for the initial need. Is it possible to add that language in there, Alex?
Yeah, you can add that in as a whereas clause. You could also add whereas clauses if that was about the possibility of considering other MNPS needs in the future, if that's something the committee wanted to do.
Perfect. I think that shows that we're being prudent with these dollars. It shows that we value and appreciate the extreme need that MNPS has, but that we also have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we are allocating these $121.1 million in the best way possible, and that we're being very, very diligent about it, because we've done a phenomenal job so far, and I think this is a great way to proceed, and it's not precluding us from allocating that $5 million back to MNPS if that's what we see in the future, but it's giving us more freedom to allocate in other areas, or it's giving, and it's also giving us more time to really look at what those needs are. Because I do want to reiterate that the expanded need for the curriculum and the teacher laptops and all that money has already been spent. Those needs have been met. This is a reimbursement. So it's not that the curriculum won't, we won't have the curriculum or the teachers won't have the laptops or whatever. Those needs have already been met. This is a reimbursement. So
I have a question for legal and Mary Jo. Courtney, what you just said is the exact sort of modification that I would like to make formally part of the motion, because on the up or down standpoint of just the taking away of the money, that's something that I would have a very difficult time voting for. It is just as important to me to explain the context of why we're doing what we're doing now and our openness to hearing about other needs that schools have, so that we can consider as part of our committee process in due course. But that to me is just an important, part of anything I could vote for.
yes, and so to that point, since I made the motion, I take that as a friendly amendment to the motion, is to add those whereas language, that whereas language, not only for why we are reducing the allocation in light of those state funds that have come in, but that also, it doesn't preclude us from allocating back to MNPS. However we want to word it. And I know Council Lady Gamble had said she would work on the wording. I'd like to be in on that conversation as well. But yes, I think that's exactly what needs to happen. So does that make Alex? Do I need to do anything official, or does that suffice?
Yeah, this is Alex. I think you've amended the motion. The problem is getting the exact language, because you and Councilmember Gamble can't be in on the same non-open.
Oh.
I'll relinquish that, and that since Courtney made the nomination, she can go on and work with you on that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and I think part of what had been amended before was that there would be Councilmember Johnson with Mary Jo and I on the final language, so this doesn't have to come back to the committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I think those are all old hands, unless anybody wants to chime in. So I'm going to take a roll call.
Mary Jo, I apologize. Sean Henry. Just a fast clarification, then a question. We keep using the term reduce it by $5 million, reduce it by $5 million. We're actually overfunding it by $5 million, correct? Yeah, and I do think that's how it should be phrased. My question, though, is that of that overfunding of $5 million, are we subject, do we have to know where that $5 million is going to go to make sure that it would be approved by the COVID CARES Act? And they're very specific uses for the money, correct?
So the resolution that has already been sent to Metro Council is a recommendation for, well, there's two things, because back in June, $24 million was allocated to and approved by Metro Council for $24 million. November 5th, there was a resolution before council to expand the use of those funds. So it didn't change the dollar amount. It was still 24 million. That was deferred. So, Alex, I don't know if we're, I guess we're doing an amendment to that to the resolution that was deferred, which is now saying, okay, we still want to expand the use to cover the teacher laptops, student laptops, hotspots, and digital curriculum and supplies. So we expanded from 2 eligible uses to 4 eligible uses, but we are changing the dollar amount down to 19.
This is Alex. I think that's fine. I think the additional uses are already in the resolution. We're just changing the amount and changing.
So the 5 doesn't, and so what happens to that 5 million, Sean, is it comes back to the committee. So it, instead of having 24.8 million unallocated, it would have 29.8 million.
What I was saying with overfunding, maybe a bad term, the $24 million was set aside to satisfy X. We're going to satisfy X with $14 million of the 24. The surplus is $10 million. We're leaving $5 million for MNPS to use for a wave of need. $5 million will be returned to the 24 million we have, bring it to 29.
Okay, so now I'm with you. The 5 million that you're saying would be excess or overfunded wouldn't be because of the expanded use of the funds. Because in the original 24 million back in June, it didn't have the digital curriculum teachers. So it wouldn't be considered overfunding at this point.
Satisfying it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. It was the different 5.
Yeah, it's too many 5s and too many 24s.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for clearing that up, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the statement has been made that these things have already been purchased, but these were expansions. So this is already a second request. Is that correct? Because the 24 million was for hotspots, laptops, and that have been purchased. And then when they got the 11 million from the state, they came back and said, well, that frees up some more money and we need additional hotspots, laptops, curriculum. So this is an expansion. This is not something that has already been purchased. Is that correct?
They've already been purchased.
You made the last statement, because when it was determined the total dollars that were going to come from the state were going to cover what Metro's resolution back in June was covering, we knew we needed to have a new resolution before council that would allow expenditures beyond laptops and hotspots, because we weren't going to spend 24 million of Metro's money on laptops and student laptops and hotspots. So MNPS came back to this committee, submitted a new expenditure plan of 24, which was approved by this committee and recommended to council. It's now deferred at council. So yes, we've established that all of the laptops, hotspots, whether they're teacher or student, the curriculum and the supplies have all been purchased. That's not really the issue. It doesn't. We talked about this a little bit at council. It doesn't matter whether it's a reimbursement or a reallocation or all of that. It's really, what are we allowing MNPS to spend the money on? So the first resolution expanded that. This amendment to that resolution, because it's not yet passed, that's why this is an amendment to that resolution, will now also reduce the amount. So it expanded it, and it expanded the eligibility. It will also reduce the amount.
Thank you. I understood that. I just wanted to make sure that we aren't saying that this is an expanded amount. I think it's been said several times that this is a reimbursement, which it is a reimbursement, I guess, to the 11 million, but it is an expansion for buying new things, not, I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to take one more scan here. I don't want to forget the people at the bottom of the list. All right. I see no hands. So let me make sure that I recap this so that you all understand. This is an amendment to the existing resolution. that the existing resolution is the expansion of eligible funds to be spent on. This is going to reduce it by $5 million. It will make it a $19 million spending for MNPS. It will include statements, whereas the reason this was done because of an $11 million grant, a combination of two different grants received from the state that covered these same costs in the original resolution. And whereas we will still consider additional MNPS needs in the future, this is where we are going to end up with the $19 million total award to MNPS. That is what we're voting on. I will go ahead and roll.
Does it need to be noted that we've not received that money, and so if the state chooses, there won't be funding for these laptops? So if the state chooses to not reimburse us, then we still have this expense.
Right, in which case then that could be reapplied for. So, okay, Sarah Finley.
Aye.
Councilmember Gamble.
I'll abstain on this. I'm still not comfortable not having all the information.
Okay. Edward Henley?
Aye.
Sean Henry?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnston?
Aye.
Vonda I think we lost Vonda. She had a hard stop.
No, I'm here.
You are still here. Okay, good.
Here.
I'm sorry. Vonda McDaniel, your vote.
No. Nay.
Got you. Junad DeBecco.
Aye.
And Councilmember Sepulveda.
Abstain.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 in favor. I have 1 against and 2 abstentions. That gets me yes. Okay. So Alex and Councilmember Johnston and I, since it passed, will work on the final wording of that resolution to be submitted to council for the December 1st meeting. Okay. Then the item we wanted to also take up is now have a little bit of a twist that we have 29, and this is, we have to assume that the amendment to this resolution and the expansion of eligibility, assuming they pass, then we have 29.8 million of unallocated funds. And we have been asked by the council to present the spending plan of those funds. At this point, we'd be at the December 1st meeting. If there are questions or deferrals, it moves it to December 15th, which is the last meeting for this calendar year. So the 29.8 million that is unallocated, I guess I'll draw us back to kind of that summary again, just a rough framework that we put together, is that we would have an amount for our emergency response. We would have an amount for additional community funding. And then we would put in a clause, if that's the right word, a mechanism whereby all of these estimates, as they true up, as we get, if there are any funds from the nonprofit contracts that are already out there, if there are any differences in the estimates that we've made, if there are funds that we receive back from FEMA, all of those expenditures at the end we would use for the replenishment of Metro's emergency management infrastructure, and capital. And those are many of the things that you heard about from the departments. So as we talk about, some of the subsidized fleet needs for our first responders, OEM equipment, whether that was communications, IT, the health department had some vehicle needs and department technology. So the goal, the idea is that if we can put that framework in place as we create, so we will, and again, if you all recommend the expenditure of $29.8 million in public safety salaries, that will then at the same time create a reserve. We don't, what would be very, very challenging is if that's all we did at that point, and we didn't have the framework in place for what we are going to use that now, what we would call, a COVID special reserve fund. And so if we put the framework in place, just like we presented the city's needs for the $48.8 million that's been approved by council, then as we incur those expenditures, it's a smooth process to go ahead and make sure that we're very timely addressing all of those needs and not going back with individual resolutions to the council. So it would be, if the committee, feels as such, it would be very effective to have this framework at the same time that we make the recommendation for the spending. So we'd be at $29.8 million. And then we would list within the framework what we want and who. And that's an important, let me make that's an important distinction. It's not a requirement. I don't want to mislead anybody. But if we have any of the spending outside of Metro's emergency response and if any of that community funding, if we know who we want to administer those funds, and that's stated in this resolution, it means it doesn't have to require another resolution for the contract to go back to council. So the items for you all to decide is, do we want to make a recommendation in spending for public salaries so that we have this ability to create the reserve? If that's a yes, how much? Once you have that dollar amount, if it's the remaining balance of $29.8 million, then what is the structure that we want to put in place for the different categories of spending? It's a matter of how specific you all want to get. All right, Councilmember Johnston, I see 3 hands. So I've got
yes,
the bottom up, since I always forget the folks at the bottom. Sarah, do you want to start?
Yeah, I guess I'm still a little confused about this. So let's just take the example of education. And let's say we want to allocate more money to education or to rent assistance. I mean, obviously, the pandemic is not getting better, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. How and when can we revisit that and make those additional allocations if we pass this today? And that leads to my second question, which is, why do we need to pass this today, since it's not sort of our last meeting?
Well, specifically on the time frame, this particular resolution is going to require to make sure that we get all of the accounting words and verbiage exactly correct. And so we need that time to write this resolution. So if we were to meet next Thursday and finalize this resolution, it has to be filed with the council office at noon on Friday. So that doesn't give us enough time next week. So in order to, I'm looking at the calendar because I want to use the exact dates for y'all. November 20th, which is next Friday, by noon is when we have to have this resolution in for consideration on the December 1st meeting. It was asked by about a handful of council members of me to make sure that we have this resolution at the December 1st meeting and not wait until the 15th. that, you know, as we saw happen with even the farmers market resolution that now we think is fine, it's a great example though of having questions beforehand. So, and always a chance that people don't want to vote it down and say no if they don't understand it. They will simply defer it so it can go back to committee for more conversation. So with something, I think, this complex and with much passion and interest in these last dollars, I think there certainly is a good chance of conversation. So I agree with the council members that asked me to make sure it was on the December 1st, that I agree that it needs to be on the 1st so that we don't lose our calendar time frame. So that's why, and I can also say from a getting the accounting and legal wording exactly correct, we can't do that overnight. Now we could schedule another meeting for this committee next Tuesday or, you know, some other interim date. I don't want to say that these Thursdays, we just have to make sure that they are publicly noticed with 48 hours advance notice to have a follow-up meeting. And given that it's 2:00, that might be what we need to do. But it really is, you know, imperative that we get this, that we get your intent. I think that's the best way for me to say it. We need the committee's intent today to give us enough time to make sure that we legally and from an accounting perspective get that intent into a proper resolution with enough time.
And then the first part of the question was just, so when would be the earliest that we could, if this is done right away as our next act, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, given the fact that the needs are going to be increasing, not decreasing, given where the pandemic is going, when could we consider additional funds for MNPS or for rent assistance or for other critical community needs?
So one of the options would be, let me leave off the $5 million right now because it was a little bit clear before that. So let me walk through it that way, and I'll add that in. But if part of the resolution that you put together says of the $29.8 million that we spend on public safety salaries, we are going to create an entire reserve of which we want $20 million to be reserved for Metro's emergency response. And we want $2.8 million to go to the United Way for continued financial assistance. You can either say as they see fit or for rent and mortgage, you know, for rent, mortgage, and others as needed. You know, but we would say the dollar amount to United Way for this. For X, we want of that 29.8, we want, you know, $2 million to go to pathway lending to, you know, for additional small business grants, and then any remainders. So if at the end of that time period, if that becomes a June 30th time period of 2021, again at the end of that time period, any adjustments then go to replenish the Metro emergency management infrastructure and capital needs as described. So the committee wouldn't have to come back if that resolution passes at the council level, then it's finished. With now adding the extra $5 million for education, if we don't specifically name, if we just say, we're going to come back to that $5 million, you all have the flexibility, but I do believe you would either need to make it for the December 15th committee meeting, Metro Council meeting, or we would have to do another extension of the committee's, what I just call tenure. Or existence, because right now the final recommendation from this committee, it was increased from November 15th to December 15th. And that would make looking at the calendar again, for the December 15th meeting, that would be December 4th. So depending on the wording, you know, waiting to the 3rd might be too late. But we don't have to meet on a Thursday. We could meet on Monday the 30th or Tuesday the 1st, although that would be a bad day just because of council.
That's what's confusing to me is if we want to move forward with this resolution and we have to define where the money's going, then sort of the premise of being able to get additional information, let's say from MNPS or getting updates on our other needs, we kind of have to make these decisions all at once for this resolution. Is the way I think I heard you describe it, and that kind of undercutting the ability to go back and revisit the amounts that we might want to expend on these various priorities. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Somewhat, yes. I mean, that time is definitely not on our side. There is a sense of urgency. I think if it makes sense, I don't know if everybody wants to check calendars, but we could have this conversation on Monday or Tuesday of next week. I just don't think we can have it any later in order to get a proper resolution in by next Friday. But I think if we had this conversation on Monday or Tuesday, I would just need confirmation, Alex, that today's Thursday. I think we could meet on Monday if we properly notice it today. We could also meet on Tuesday.
Well, I may be the only one that's sort of concerned about these things, but so I don't want to have my comments dictate another meeting. But I just I think that the reality of the implications of this are kind of hitting home in a way that are making me feel like sort of one of the assumptions I was making on some of the education things is maybe not as, you know, flexible as I had hoped.
Hey, Mary Jo, this is Sean Henry. I apologize. I have to jump off for another call. But one fast question, and I hate to do this and then jump off, and I'll be available next week whenever you guys decide. But if we transfer the dollars to the city, as we talked about, and set up this new special fund, why do we have to dictate where sub dollars go? We put it all in a lump fund with general guidelines similar to what we were charged with originally. Wouldn't we have the same freedoms then to use all $29 million for the 2.4 for United Way, perhaps $5 million for MNPS, you know, elongate it? Do we have to define it prior as taking the 29 and dividing it, you know, 20 here, 2.3 here, 5 here? Or can we just put it in a fund for us then to do the same thing we've been doing for the past 6 months and dividing up the $29 million?
So you're correct. It doesn't have to all be decided. I would caution the committee in not having it line item, and the best way that I
just connected. I'm more for council to see what our intentions are, more so than binding our own hands. I got it. I'm deferring to all the nodding heads.
Yeah, it has more to do with
thank you.
The unrestricted funds then are really subject to a lot of different interpretation, desire, requests.
Right, I got
it. But some of that can be eliminated again if we say, you know, again, only by recommendation of the committee, and this committee is now going to be in place through X date, and we extend that. I think that would address what you're asking for. I just if I can't tell you enough that the council wants to know.
Got it. I apologize for running on.
No, that's okay. And maybe all the more reason, I just have so much respect for everybody's time that we're at almost 2:10 here. I think, you know, maybe all the more reason for part 2. Thanks, Sean. Is there any other concerns, or do we want, we don't have anything open on the floor. We are free to adjourn and begin again with maybe fresh eyes, ears, knowledge. What that would require, what I think I hear you all say, that you would want all of the information to make an assessment for MNPS at our next meeting, so that you would know whether you wanted to, what you want to do with this other $5 million that now is available. Councilmember Johnston, I see your hand.
Sandra actually, I think, had hers up before me, so I want to kind of defer to her.
Absolutely. Councilmember Sepulveda?
Yes, if we could reconvene until next week, preferably Tuesdays, since my Mondays are always packed pretty much. I think that would be wise, and we could dedicate more time to just this.
I am checking Tuesday, the 17th. Are we okay with Tuesday the 17th, it being a council day? Okay. And I don't know if y'all have a preference for maybe doing it in the morning. Does anybody, or if this time just kind of is nice because it's the noon time, that's fine.
This is Ed Henley. I'm able to do Monday or Tuesday. Respecting Councilmember Sepulveda's comment, it sounds like Tuesday is the preference, but if we're doing Tuesday, the lunchtime period works better for me.
Okay. And given the weight of this, I would really like to make sure that if at all possible, we don't exclude anybody from a scheduling conflict. So if we keep it at the 17th at noon. Does anybody else have any conflicts? I don't see any hands. Councilmember Johnston?
Yeah, I don't have a conflict, but I just wanted to make a point just really quickly before we go. So the estimated expenses through the end of the year, the $23.2 million, and that lists the health department, OEM, police department, fire, general services, and then all other departments at 1.5. But then you're saying that if you only allocated $20 million to that you feel pretty confident that FEMA would pick up the slack for that $3.2 million. So is it reasonable to say, let's allocate $25 million out of the $20 million remaining and add education in there as, Metro's emergency response as an approved, and then that way really kind of handled all of Metro departments, because the schools still are sort of a department. And so if we add that in there, and then all these other departments come and say, the police says, well, hey, we got this. Well, general services, hey, the education has that flexibility as well. And I think that might be a good way to make sure that they are taken care of, that it's fully weighted within Metro's emergency response. So that's 25, but we got $4.8 million to look at the additional infrastructure. So the cars for police, fire, OEM, the health department, and really, again, rent, all these things that are going to continue. So that then we can say, okay, now how are we going to allocate the remaining 4 points? If that makes any, I'm hoping that I'm communicating properly.
It does, and the only comment that I'll make just to the other examples of the 4.8, one of the things that one thing that's going to be important, and you all can decide where it is that I'd like to think my estimates are spot on, penny to the penny. They absolutely won't be. And so there is a distinct possibility that when we put $29.8 million in, remember that there will still be some estimates from the first 48.8 million. There will be some from, perhaps anything left over from any of the other nonprofit contracts. Then there will be, difference between this 23.2 million, or if we put in the 20, what kind of estimate difference from there, as well as any true ups from FEMA. And those true ups from FEMA are going to be happening well into 2021. So the idea was that as a combination of those things, if we built into the mechanics of this, that yes, after the emergency response has been fully met, all of those nature of expenditures, then we would consider some of the other department requests that you all have heard from. So that would still leave that 4.8 if we either do 25 million or 20 million, whatever that number ends up being, to still be considered more from the external perspective. And then that puts the responsibility for Metro to see where does some of that, where's the greatest infrastructure need. In a way, you all don't have to choose between fire and police. Metro can look at a bigger picture of our 4% funds and historical funding and some other examples, so that when we get down to that, it just doesn't have to be the burden of the committee. But that was just when you brought up the vehicles again. That's what that third bullet point is getting at.
Yeah, and I really want to reiterate that it makes my stomach upset to think about that money that we allocated for rent, mortgage, and utility to be completely blown through by December 11th. And obviously this virus is going nowhere. And I don't want people evicted and on the street. And so that's $1 million a week. Wow. I mean, that is a significant need. And so I think that's something that we need to think about as well. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to adding to that allocation now, to be honest with you. I mean, people in their houses before December 30th. I mean, that just makes my stomach think about evictions. So.
Mary Jo, kind of with next week's meeting, which I'm glad that we're having, I mean, it seems to me that we have a resolution that we talked about that has, some, I guess, differences on sort of whether or not it should move forward or not. It's got delicate wording at best. Should we try to, given the import of this final piece, should we try to get whatever additional information mnps can provide us by next week, get an update from United Way and others on areas where we think that we are, facing some issues where the funds are going to be depleted and where there's a lot of human beings that are being affected by that, and just take a fresh look at the draft of the resolution that we talked about earlier today and put it in the context of this resolution to make sure that we're telling a comprehensive story, because it sounds like this is kind of our final way of telling the story of what our priorities are. And I just feel like doing it piecemeal is probably not the best way to do it.
Yeah, so I think the main thing that I heard from you, Sarah, is that can we look at the resolution on Tuesday, the amendment to the resolution for MNPS? Can we look at that on Tuesday? Alex, is that a possibility?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second part of that, and I have to look and see if I think our folks from MNPS dropped, but I'd be happy to, I don't want to say that they did. I don't see the bottom. It looks like they have, in which case, what we really want from them is, I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouths. We want the complete picture of all of their expenditures that are COVID related, and the reason I say COVID related is because they weren't anticipated in their original budget. They wouldn't have been anticipated in a quote unquote normal school year. And what are all of those expenditures and how are they covering them? Where are they short? How much are they short? Is that what you need to hear from them?
I think so, if we're going to be making decisions that may or may not undercut their ability to come back to us.
Okay. We will work and make sure we get the meeting properly noticed. We will get you all WebEx invites, get all of the documentation sent to you for review, and then we will reconvene on Tuesday.
Hey, Mary Jo, this is Alex. Before you lose your quorum, do you want to address that farmers market issue?
Oh yeah, I wrote that note and we never got to it.
Do you want me to go ahead and explain it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the council member questions about the farmers market was about whether people who applied for the small business loan could also apply for that. I think he put in the resolution that they couldn't, but that clause, which is standard in a couple other, never made it into the farmers market. And so what I would ask the motion for would be to allow legal to insert that clause as an amendment into the farmers market, so it's explicitly clear you can't get money for both the small business loan from Pathway and the farmers market allocation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and then I'm going to do a quick vote. Sarah Friendly?
Aye.
Councilmember Gamble?
Aye.
Edward Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnston?
Aye.
Vonda McDaniel? Did lose for now. Junata Becco? Let's see. Junad, you're still on mute.
Oh, I thought I said aye. Aye.
Thank you. Got it now. And Councilmember Sepulveda.
Aye.
Great. So we all in favor for that slight amendment on our farmers market resolution. We'll make that amendment and it will come before council. All right. I appreciate you all hanging in there. We'll probably have another extended meeting on Tuesday. Rest up over the weekend. Thanks all.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.